Let's go through some positions. I know you're always super prepared. Give me one or two guys, whoever you got, who you think should be on the Niners' radar. Either in the Niners have those 3 picks, 99, 101, 102, right over there at the end of round 3, and then they have later picks. Wherever you think they should be interested, or if you wanted to find a
On
way to
either
trade
side
up.
of the ball, you mean? Or
I'll give you a position. I want
okay.
Anywhere in the offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line's really hard because I value just pure toughness and intelligence. You got to you go formation variation. There's all kinds of shifts and motions. If you play offensive line for the 49ers, you got to be smart. And so you got to find guys who are smart and tough and productive. I haven't studied a lot of them. The Northwestern kid, Skoronski, who's going to be a mid-first round pick, is tremendous. I mean, I really like him a lot. And then I really like Broderick Jones, the Georgia kid who's 6'4", 315 pounds, but I think he's probably going in the 20s. So those guys are off the board. Darnell Wright from Tennessee, 6'5", 335, redshirt junior. He could be there, middle of the second round. Jalen Duncan from Maryland might be there in the third round. There's a guy named Peluski who plays for the Illini, who I think is more of a day 3 pick, but I think he's tough. So, I mean, and I haven't studied all these guys, but those are the guys that stand out to me.
The ones I'm looking at that I'm curious to see how they test are Oluwatimi from Michigan.
Yes.
Supposed to be a mid-round guy.
Yep.
Luke Whippler from Ohio State and Alex Forsyth from Oregon. And I saw this online today from Josh Norris, who's really smart. I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah.
He posted that offensive linemen who basically scored 4.5 on the 20-yard short shuttle or faster just tend to have really long careers. And so that's something to look for. Guys who are big and move well in the 20-yard shuttle, it seems to be somewhat predictive. And if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, who have that great offensive line, it's a lot of guys who hit that number or close to it. So that'd be something I'm looking for, that 20-yard shuttle for the big guys.
I really love the Michigan kid, Oluwatimi. I mean, he won the Outland Trophy. He's really strong, short area. See, that's the other thing. I mean, it's like if you saw the numbers this year on Brock Purdy's completion percentage when he was kept clean as opposed to a muddied pocket, he was like 84% completion percentage when they kept him clean. I think Brendel's more like 285 in that range. Oluwatimi's like 310, 315, really, really strong. I mean, protecting that A gap against, for either quarterback, really. The fastest way to have a quarterback lose confidence is pressure right in his face. And I'd like to see them replace Brendel in the draft with a bigger bodied physical center that gives you more in the run game and a little bit more heft between your quarterback and opposing T tackles, especially since if you're going to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to neutralize the great Chris Jones. So, I mean, that he's there and he ain't going anywhere.
Jake Brendel is an excellent athlete, but to your point, he's a little light. He's a little light. It'd be nice if you could get those movement skills in someone who's 310 pounds or 305. I'm with you on that. All right, what about tight ends? This is a deep position, a talented position in the draft, and the Niners desperately need an upgrade over Tyler Kroft, someone who can take some pressure off of George Kittle. Who do you like?
Well, there's a lot of guys here. I can see now why Peters is saying it. First of all, Michael Mayer's a total stud, mid-first round pick. Notre Dame kid, 6'4", 260, 270 in that range. Great receiver, unbelievable hands. I mean, that guy's special. Then Bill Musgrave's nephew, played at Oregon State. He's a great athlete, 6'6", 250, runs really well. Luke Musgrave. If you watch Utah this year, Dalton Kincaid, really solid receiver. He's more like in the 240 range, more of a receiver. Sam Laporta, Iowa. I mean, Iowa produces, as we know, really good tight ends, and Laporta's another one. He's 6'4", he's 250. He knows how to block. He's good. He's a good receiver. He's a nice all-around player. Darnell Washington from Georgia is like maybe the freakiest guy. He's 6'6", he's 265, he's lean. I mean, he's really lean. He looks like a kind of guy who could play at like 280. He's got that kind of, he's got unbelievable talent. And then there's a couple sleeper guys. Payne Durham from Purdue is 6'5", 260, really good receiver, sticky hands. And then I really liked there's a gigantic tight end named Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. He's like 6'8", 250, but he's a good receiver, and he really moves naturally like a much smaller guy. Kind of like the guy, was it Jimmy Graham, who was 6'8"? This guy he's not Jimmy Graham as far as a speedster, but he's a big target, and he's a pretty good inline blocker, Zach Kuntz. And there's a bunch of guys beyond that as well, but those are the guys that I like the most.
Did you mention Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State?
No, I haven't seen him.
He's supposed to be similar to Dallas Goedert, supposed to be a good route runner, inconsistent blocker. I wonder if Kyle's going to be looking for more of a blocking type tight end, or it seems like the tight ends he's drafted have been serious blockers. Kittle, Warner, Caden Smith from Stanford. I don't know. I wonder if he's going to value. I mean, if he values blocking in his wide receivers, it seems like his tight end's going to have to be one hell of a blocker, right?
Well, I'll get then another name that you should keep in mind is the Michigan tight end, Luke Schoonmaker.
Okay.
Because Michigan ran the ball with Blake Corum really well this year, and Schoonmaker is a terrific blocker. And he's 6'6", 250, 255, and he's a really smart kid. I think he's from Connecticut. And he's just one of those guys. He's kind of tenacious. He's like a lock-on blocker. And I think he could be.
See, that sounds right up the Niners' alley to me, because they talk a big game about tight ends, but they still haven't drafted one ahead of round 5 since freaking Vance McDonald. So, Blake Bell, round 4 with
the Belldozer.
The Belldozer. Yeah, it's been that long. So maybe they'll go round 4 this year with Schoonmaker. I think that would be a great pick. That's a good one. I like that.
Luke Schoonmaker, yeah.
Luke Schoonmaker. All right. Running backs on the Niners radar. I know we scoff, but Kyle Shanahan can't help himself. He's drafted running backs in round 3 2 years in a row. They go through running backs. They got 3 third-round picks this year. They got 1 million picks after that. Who are some running backs in that range that you like?
It's just an awesome group. I mean, this is another really great position. I don't think the Niners go running back in round 1, 2, or they don't have a 1 or 2, but I don't think they go running back on day 1 or day 2. I think they shouldn't. I think they will. I mean, like Bijan Robinson, I think Jerry Jones is all about getting Bijan Robinson from Texas.
Oh yeah.
And then the fastest kid in the draft is this Devin Kane from A&M, but he's a 5'8" guy. Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome from Bama.
I like him.
He played with J.P. Mason at G-Tech.
Yep.
Transferred to Bama. Charbonnet.
He reminds me of Alvin Kamara, but with like 4.3 speed.
Yeah. Oh, Gibbs. He's awesome. Yeah. Gibbs is the guy. I love Gibbs.
Yeah.
And then Charbonnet from UCLA is awesome.
That's the one I like.
But I mean, you're talking about these are all guys going to be picked in the first 2 rounds, I think. Maybe
you think Charbonnet goes in round 2?
I think
if Charbonnet's there,
high three.
If Charbonnet is there when the Niners pick in round 3, I wouldn't be mad if they took him. I'm a huge UCLA fan, I guess, and I've seen him play a lot.
Oh, he's awesome.
I don't know. He's so hard to tackle. He's in great shape. Big dude.
Dude.
Good receiver, good blocker, can do everything.
Yeah. I mean, Charbonnet's he's a really good player. But I mean, Tyjae Spears from Tulane, 5'10", 204, really tough to bring down. Texas has another back, Roshan Johnson. He's a workout warrior monster. He's 6 feet, 220. Tank Bigbie from Auburn, really good running back. Chris Rodriguez from Kentucky, 225 pounds, really like him. And then when you get to day 3, I mean, deep in day 3, Deuce Vaughn, he's a tiny little explosive back from K-State, but he is just awesome. And then there's others. I mean, SaRodorick Thompson from Texas Tech is a really good running back. Deneric Prince from Tulsa is about 220 pounds, really good running back. The Fresno State kid, Jordan Mims, is really solid. So, I mean, there's be guys after the draft beyond these guys. So there's a lot of good day 3 backs for sure.
The reason I'm looking at that round 3 spot is that I feel like you can't really not trust. You can't really trust Elijah Mitchell. I'm so sorry. A hell of a player, but he's gotten hurt a ton of times. And I don't know about Ty Davis Price. Like, if Trey Sermon could get cut after 1 year, I think Ty Davis Price could too. He averaged 2.9 yards per carry. So right now I'm looking at McCaffrey and Mason hell of a 1-2 punch. But Kyle can't help himself, and Zach Charbonnet is so good. So good. If they get him in round 3. But as you're saying, top of round 3. So, okay. What about wide receivers who could be on the Niners' radar? Because, look, there's no guarantee that Brandon Ayuk gets the long-term extension. You can't extend everyone, and he's going to be very expensive. They might have to prepare.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. This is like 3 or 4 years in a row where the wide receiver class is just exceptionally deep.
It's going to keep happening, by the way. It's going to keep happening. All the best athletes are playing this position now. It's where to get paid. Yeah. And I feel like also it's an easy position to play. Like in the NFL, all the rules are in your favor. You can't touch them. You can't hit them. It's not a hard position to play compared to corner.
There's a lot of good ones too. I mean, the guys at the top of the draft, Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison, Smith Nabigba or whatever from Ohio State, Jalen Hyatt. Those are the guys at the top of the draft.
I like Addison.
I actually kind of like I love this. There's a receiver from Ole Miss named Jonathan Mingo, who really love him. He's 6'1", about 225. He can sky for balls. He's just physically dominating. And Ole Miss has had some really, really good wide receivers in the last few years.
DK,
I really like him.
AJ Brown. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Mingo doesn't run quite like AJ Brown, but he's an NFL player for sure. I like him, and he's a day 3 pick. Michael Wilson was one of the best receivers. The Stanford kid was one of the best receivers at Mobile. He's 6'2", 216 pounds. I think he's going to be a day 3 steal. And then, the other Stanford kid is a workout warrior, 6'3", 230, Elijah Higgins. I'm not a big Elijah Higgins fan myself. He's just a little on the stiff side. As far as, there's a kid who played at Clemson who's from Sacramento, Joseph Nada. It's spelled Ngata, Nagata.
Like Haloti Nada?
Yeah. Joseph Nada played at Clemson. And I think he either went to Jesuit or he's from Sacramento. He's a really interesting day 3 receiver. I mean, definitely. Nathaniel Dell and Jaden Reed are 2 slot receivers who are tiny. Dell, they call him Tank Dell. He caught balls for Clayton Tune at Houston. He's 5'8", 165, but he is a home run hitter. Jaden Reed from Michigan State, 5'11", slot receiver, super burner. They met with Demario Douglas from Liberty, another slot receiver, 5'8", about 170 pounds. So yeah, those are the guys that kind of stand out to me at that spot.
I like it. I was looking at one guy, Cedric Tillman, who's a 6'3", 215-pound wide receiver from Tennessee, kind of similar to Jawan Jennings. I don't know if the Niners are going to be able to keep Jawan Jennings long term. They might be looking for the next big slot receiver, just kind of like how he replaced.
I'll say
Kendrick
this:
Bourne.
A lot of people like Hendon Hooker, at quarterback. But I don't like Hendon Hooker because I really felt like Tennessee's studs were the receivers. Hyatt and Tillman were big time for them.
Tillman might be a guy the Niners could get in round 3. All right, last position on offense.
Yeah,
quarterback. John Lynch said they might be in the market for a quarterback. They could go out and spend big, but I think Kyle Shanahan really likes the idea of being cheap at the quarterback position, spending everywhere else, propping up the quarterback. And based on how much success he had with rookie Brock Purdy last year, I don't think he would shy away from drafting a quarterback that he felt could play right away. So, or maybe he would just look for some long-term backups. Who are some quarterbacks you think are on the Niners' radar?
Well, Jake Haener kind of made it seem on the podium when he was interviewed like the Niners have sniffed around him. But he didn't say that he met with them directly. Clayton Tune, I think, is the guy that I like. He's 6'2", 215 pounds, really solidly built, really athletic, good arm, good mobility, probably a
experienced
round 4 pick, something like that.
The only reason I think the Niners won't go with him is I really believe that Kyle scouts the offense and not the player. And just watching Clayton Tune, he was in a spread offense. And I feel like that just,
but there's, I'll say this: there's so much spread right now that would discount an awful lot of players.
But that's how I feel about Kyle. He discounts an awful lot of players. Prove me wrong, Kyle.
Yeah,
seriously.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson said that the Niners met with him. He's intriguing. I mean, the
Also
Dorian
played the
Thompson
spread.
Robinson highlight film, you would definitely draft him. The downside of his highlight film, you wouldn't draft him because he's made he's had some, good moments, some bad moments. But I think he's interesting. I like Malik Cunningham as well from Louisville. I did a whole thing with a guy from NBC Sports, a scout, and I asked him about Cunningham, and he doesn't believe Cunningham is good enough from the pocket. And he's only about 6 feet, but maybe 6'1", 185 in that range. But man, the explosive running ability, the arm strength, he demonstrated pretty good accuracy, I thought, in the All-Star games, and his running ability is dynamic. So that's a guy. I know people who really like Adrian Martinez, who played at K-State. Aiden O'Connell from Purdue, is not mobile, but he's a pretty decent pocket passer. I'm not a Stetson Bennett guy, but I think he's too limited. But I like Tanner McKee, 6'6", but he's not very durable, and he's not very mobile, which is a bad combination. So to me, the most attractive quarterbacks are either Clayton Tune, Jake Hayner, maybe Dorian Thompson Robinson, day 3, maybe Malik Cunningham as an undrafted guy.
I think Dorian Thompson Robinson is the most intriguing. And again, if the Niners haven't totally given up on Trey Lance, then Dorian Thompson Robinson could be a late round pick who could do a lot of the stuff that Trey Lance does and run the same offense. And it did seem for a second like the Niners were believing in Trey and building around him, right? Like, why did you draft Danny Gray? Not for Brock. It was for Trey. It seemed like you were sort of transitioning to a more Philadelphia Eagles style offense. So if that's not completely off the table, then do look at a guy like Dorian Thompson Robinson. And the fact that they met with him maybe does bode well for Trey Lance's future with the 49ers. Although I just don't buy it with Kyle. I think deep down he loves Tanner McKee. That's his guy. Tanner. I've watched Tanner. Here's the thing with Kyle.
Accurate.
He won't admit it, but him and his dad, they are play action, scheme based coaches. And I think they feel that they've had experiences where they get a quarterback and they're like, all right, we need you to turn your back to the defense and line up under center. And he's like, ooh, I don't want to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I think they feel like you can't teach a guy to do that if he doesn't want to do it. And so they need to see it on film before they're going to bring a guy in, which is why I think they didn't draft Patrick Mahomes, because he didn't do that in college. And that's why they drafted Trey Lance, because he did do that in college. Justin Fields did not. So I think Tanner McKee did it in college. He's on their radar. Aiden O'Connell.
He's a 4-star recruit, and he's a Mormon. He went on his mission, so he's older. He's a little bit more mature. He's 6'6", 230. He's really, really accurate, and he's got plenty of an arm. It's just the mobility's kind of and the durability, I don't know. But I'll say if you're just looking for a 6'6" smart kid who's athletic, who can, throw it around, this kid can throw it. Absolutely can. Yeah. And he's very accurate.
I don't think Kyle really cares about mobility. I do, but I think what he cares about is can you line up under center, turn your back, do a play fake, and hit the 15-yard dig route over the middle. That's what he wants, right? Tanner McKee can do that. I don't know how much more he can do, but I've seen him do that on film, and that puts him right in Kyle Shanahan's wheelhouse. Stetson Bennett's another guy. And I know you're not into him, but he's accurate. He won.
He knows how to play.
And he's mobile. He's old as hell. He's 25.
He's also small.
And he just got arrested. So maybe not Stetson Bennett. Aiden O'Connell, though, he played for, Jeff Brom over at Purdue. You're looking for the next. He lined up under center. He did the stuff. I just wouldn't be surprised. Oh, I'm telling you, I watched CJ Beathard's highlight for 2 minutes in 2017. I'm like, oh, yeah, that is totally a Kyle Shanahan quarterback. Boom. Boom. I was right. So I guess I know.
I will say this about Tanner McKee. I don't know that he'd be on the board when the Niners pick. I think a lot of people feel like he's going to go in the 65 to 75 range, and I think their first pick is like 99.
See, that's crazy to me. 2 years ago, UCLA played Stanford at Stanford. I went to that game. I saw it in person. My wife wanted to go. We sat there, like right on the sideline. I saw DTR in person. I saw Tanner McKee in person. There was no question who the better quarterback was. It was DTR, and he won. So I don't understand with this Tanner McKee stuff. Is David Shaw that bad? But what I see with Tanner McKee, he looks like Mitch Wishnowsky on the field. You know what I mean? Like the jersey doesn't really fit him, and he kind of waddles around the field. Like he doesn't look like an athlete at all.
Well, and he's also worried about. I think he had like he's either paranoid about skin cancer or he had skin cancer, so he never wears short sleeves. He always wears full sleeves.
Maybe that's what I'm seeing that I don't like. It's the long sleeves. It might be the long sleeves, in which case I take it back, Tanner. I'm so sorry.